To take a closer look at this closely watched runoff, Democratic political strategist Joe Lestingi and Tea Party News Network's Scottie Nell Hughes offering perhaps a different opinion and perspective from the right. So, Joe and Scottie Nell, we welcome you both here to America's Forum.
Thanks for having me.
Well, as we see you there, let's thank you both for Skyping in. And Joe, we'll begin with you. Chris McDaniel has been taking Thad Cochran to task for courting historically Democrat voters. But hey, it's an open primary, and I guess politics is the art of addition. But will this backfire in the Republican primary?
Well, I think going into this primary, Thad Cochran is the underdog, which is an odd situation for him to be in. And tactically, I think they looked at the polling numbers and said the electorate as it exists for a runoff, which is extremely small and hyper partisan, was not big enough for them to win. So they are trying to change the electorate a little bit, reaching out to non-traditional Republican voters. Now, the Tea Party says that they are liberal Democrats. I think that the Cochran campaign would argue that they're just moderates, that they want to get engaged in the Republican Party. But the Tea Party has a very big problem with this, they're treading on some thin ice in Mississippi with this primary today.
Well, is it thin ice, Scottie Nell Hughes, or do you expect to see a mighty big turnout of empowered, determined conservatives in Mississippi?
Well, of course, I expect to see a great turnout, and I think that's why Thad Cochran got so desperate in the first place. And I love the idea of non-traditional conservatives or non-traditional Republicans, aka Democrats. And that's what got them into this position in the first place. Listen, Mississippi, according to a latest Gallup poll, is the second most conservative state in the entire country. Only first to Wyoming, and all of those people we know are related to the Cheneys. So this is a conservative state, and if Thad Cochran would have had that voting record, then he would have had an easy runoff. Truth be told, he didn't want to run again. He was basically told by the establishment of Mississippi, upon hearing that Chris McDaniel would be the person to replace him, we need you to stay in because we know what we've dealt with Ted Cruz. The last thing we need is giving him some more reinforcements up in the Senate.
Well, you speak of that, and the fact is Chris McDaniel, even though he's a state senator, has tried to position himself as a political outsider, as opposed to Thad being in the bailiwick of the establishment. Here's what Chris McDaniel had to say at a Tea Party-sponsored event, and I quote, "This self-entitled political aristocracy they have created, backroom deals and compromises, steak dinners and fancy affairs, whatever happened to the people? The idea that certain people or certain companies deserve special or select treatment, that has to be forever eliminated. Corporate cronyism has to end. Bailouts have to end." Now, Chris, on the other side of this, Haley Barbour, the former Mississippi governor, and dare we say it, the Washington lobbyist. You also have others who have served Mississippi in Washington coming to rally behind Thad Cochran. Does this perceived rift among members of the GOP, does it redound to the benefit of the Democrats, and could that happen as soon as this November?
Absolutely. I think it definitely does. And here's maybe not so much in Mississippi. I mean, I appreciate that the polls say they're the second most conservative state in the country. Polls elected our governors and our senators. We live in a completely different world. But the truth is that every time a situation like the one that's happening in Mississippi and the one that happened in the 7th District, it continues to feed into the narrative that the Republican Party is split and they're exclusive. I mean, we've said this before, they have a tolerant and intolerance problem. When we looked at Virginia, it was all about Hispanics and illegal immigration. And now we're looking at Mississippi, where the Tea Party has publicly stated they're going to black precincts to check the voters. Not white ones, but black precincts. That's dangerous water in a deep South state to be wading in right now. So, yes, Democrats will obviously raise a lot of money off of this. The narrative will continue to November of one party being of intolerance and one party of an accepting Big Tent, and we'll see how it settles out in November.
Scottie Nell, there is Joe. I guess some of us might be tempted to say Joe's playing the race card. He's just saying, no, these are legitimate concerns. Your take on Mississippi, where, correct me if I'm wrong, even some relatives of Medgar Evers actually re-registered as Republicans, the Evers family being so active in civil rights in the 1960s in the freedom marches of Mississippi. Don't times change?
Well, let me tell you, the fact that he even introduced race into this and said that it was our side that introduced it is completely wrong. It is Thad Cochran that has made this a race issue. It is Thad Cochran that went after literally the Democrats in urban areas and did robocalls saying, listen, if you like what you're getting right now, make sure you put me in office because Chris McDaniel is going to take it away. They're the ones that brought the black community in and made this a race issue. They're the ones that sent out right now on social media on most of the black leaders in Mississippi. They're saying the Tea Party intends to prevent you from voting. Well, JD, I don't know about you, but I personally don't have any blockades in my back pocket. They're the ones that have gone out, issued letters saying, you know what? I know you're a Democrat. I know you're a black Democrat, but come over, vote for me now. No big deal. In November, you can go back and vote Democrat, but vote Thad Cochran right now. They're the ones that are the plantation owners that are sitting there trying to manipulate the conversation and control literally think that they can just mind control the black people here in Mississippi, which is completely wrong. So yes, are we going to go in there into urban districts and make sure? Yes, but we're going to do it across this state because this is the good old boy network. Thad Cochran has been in there since 1978. I guarantee if anybody's going to be sitting there and having things wrong, it will be on the Thad Cochran campaign.
Joe Lestingi, you want to respond to this? And I'll have one more point, but go ahead if you want to respond to Scottie Nell.
I'm shocked by that type of response. I mean, this is not a situation where we need to be dividing the electorate into black and white, but looking at they're Mississippians. And guess what? Mississippi law says that anyone can vote in either primary. And it's an open primary system. They don't have party registration there. So by that sort of intimidation language, he's reached out to black voters. No, he's reached out to Mississippians, and he's trying to make his case to them on why he should be the nominee and why he should be elected. There's nothing wrong with that legally, and that's the beauty of democracy in this country, is that this is an open public process, and this is how the selections go. I mean, we could go back to the days where only party leaders selected him, but we got rid of those in the 20s because that wasn't right, and we knew it wasn't right. So I'm actually kind of surprised by that kind of response. I mean, we should be talking about bridging gaps, not making divides here. We shouldn't just be in urban communities. We should be around all the communities and making sure that everyone...
Well, then you need to tell that to Thad Cochran. Why did he... You need to tell this to Thad Cochran, then why did he go into the urban areas and issue the letters there? Why did he robocall those districts?
They have the constitutional right to vote.
Yeah, I am here in Mississippi. I am on the ground.
Their race or where they live, they're still voters, and he's courting their vote just like he should. He represents the entire state of Mississippi.
As we continue this discussion, we appreciate the energy that Scottie Nell and Joe, you bring to this. Sorry, we're just pressed for time. I guess the bottom line is we're going to find out tonight what transpires. We invite you both back. Maybe you can do a post-mortem tomorrow on the primary results. We do thank you so much for your time. As you heard, Scottie Nell and Joe impassioned, the race card being bandied about. What's your take on today's Republican Senate primary in Mississippi? We need to hear from you. Tweet us at NewsmaxTV, #America's Forum. There's also email and Facebook, and our faces are coming right back.